Now we all know about the legendary Super Nintendo, the console that showed off what true 16-bit power could do, revealed a golden age of JRPGs, and to this day continues to inspire the gaming industry. There's your Link to the Past, your Super Mario World, and even your Super Metroid. But what about the games that time forgot? The games that deserve more attention but just never got the chance for one reason or another. And considering that the SNES Classic is going to show off some of the console's best titles, let's show off some of the lesser known titles. So hey, I'm SamBam and this is the top 10 underrated SNES games.
Number 10.
Super Adventure Island 2. Now, if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you're the kind of person that likes to play retro video games relatively frequently, which means that you've probably tried out the Adventure Island games at one point or another. Well, throw all that you know about the series out the window because Super Adventure Island 2 is nothing like the other games. Okay, well, maybe a little bit, but trust me, it's different. It's much more in the style of a Metroidvania or Zelda 2 kind of game. I'm pretty sure it's the only game where Master Higgins gets a sword and armor. Anyways, the game starts off with the beginnings of a beautiful honeymoon on a raft. Well, to each their own. When a storm washes them both ashore, giving them both amnesia, and yada yada yada, you gotta go save your girl. Because honestly, sometimes that's all the motivation your characters need. The game is a ton of fun exploring all the different islands, terrorizing the animals, and even destroying nature itself. And with a bunch of different islands to explore, you'll have your work cut out for you. Nonetheless, if you happen to see Super Adventure Island 2 in the wild, definitely don't pass it up.
Number 9.
Metal Marines. Now this one might be a bit of a tougher sell, but hopefully I can change your mind about it. Now, if it wasn't made clear by some of the modern editions of certain games, real-time strategy is a genre best left to PCs. But Metal Marines is an exception to the rule. And no, it's not because of the Super Nintendo mouse is compatible with this game, but because of the way that the game plays. Rather than making a mad dash to attack as fast as possible, Metal Marines allows you to build up your base and make the according upgrades to your units before you commit to anything. Based on how much money and energy your base makes depends on what you can attack your enemy with, or surprisingly comical to say the least. My strategy is to just bombard the base with missiles until the land is scorched, and then send over my towering mechs to destroy what's left. To destroy what's left.
Number 8.
The Adventures of Batman and Robin. Now here's a real blast from the past. If there's one show I absolutely adored as a kid, it was the Warner Bros. Batman the Animated Series. It easily shaped my love of the character, and even today, Batman is still my favorite superhero. But moving right along, as many children's shows of the 90s aired, they normally had a video game to go along with it, so that children would torture their parents about spending their hard-earned cash to shut them up. But this happens to be a case where the game isn't complete and utter trash, and that's probably thanks to Konami. The game captures the essence of the show pretty spot on, not to mention the fact that each level is loosely based on the episodes from the show. But don't be deceived by the cartoonish style, this game is ridiculously hard. But don't let that discourage you from enjoying this game.
Number 7.
The Magical Quest, starring Mickey Mouse. And while we're on the topic of children's cartoons, there was no better combo than Capcom and Disney. They made tons of games based off of plenty of Disney characters, and some of them deserving even their own videos, but that's for another day. This is definitely one of the games that doesn't get enough attention. When people talk about Mickey games, normally people will talk about Castle of Illusion, which is totally understandable because that game is also great, but it gets plenty of time in the limelight. Magical Quest, on the other hand, does not. When Pluto is stolen away by Pete, it's up to Mickey to go throughout the land to save his best friend. And this game is just so whimsical that I can't help but feel like a little kid again. It might be a little bit on the slow side, but it's tons of fun. The power-up system is a lot like the Mega Man games, and that's definitely not a bad thing. If you haven't managed to get this Capcom gem, you should definitely change that.
But not right now. We have a video to finish.
Number 6.
Demon's Crest. Now here's a game that time most definitely forgot. Demon's Crest is a spin-off of the Ghouls and Ghosts series where you play as the demon Firebrand. Or maybe he's a gargoyle? Demon's Crest is about getting revenge on this asshat of a dude so that you can collect all of your crest stack to regain all of your powers. But first you have to destroy every other demon in your path. There's some excellent use of Mode 7, and the platforming is just as clever as its Game Boy predecessors. Give this game a try on a long weekend and enjoy the creepy tale of Firebrand.
Number 5.
NOSFERATU. Feeling the need for something ridiculous? Well, no need to look further than NOSFERATU. No, not the film. The Super Nintendo game. But that's not to say that this game isn't anything less than beautiful. The rotoscoped art definitely makes for some nice eye candy. NOSFERATU is basically Prince of Persia meets Castlevania. Only instead of trying to kill Dracula, you're trying to save your girlfriend. And instead of bringing a whip, you bring your fists. No, really. What better way to take on Dracula and his minions than with a straight-up haymaker combo? Werewolf? Haymaker combo. Frankenstein's monster? Haymaker combo. Literally every enemy in the game. Haymaker f***ing combo. The controls are a little stiff, but that's mostly because of how smooth the animation is. And if you can get used to old school Prince of Persia, then you can get used to this. I promise that you'll love it.
Number 4.
Clock Tower. And keeping up the spooky scary theme, we have Clock Tower, one of the first survival horror games of all time. With the classic iconography of a scissor man killing teenage orphans, it's a wonder that this hasn't been adapted into a big Hollywood horror film. Okay, so pause the episode for a sec. I decided that this idea was way too unoriginal, and it turns out that the movie has been in production hell since 2009. Well, that sucks. Okay, back to the top 10. I know that this game has definitely influenced a lot of other games and sequels, among the most recent being Remothered, but generally the first Clock Tower game goes relatively untouched. And if anything, this game is worth playing just to see how many things in this mansion are out to kill you and your friends. Oh, why is this mirror so dirty? If you haven't played this little piece of video game history, I highly recommend changing that.
Number 3.
TERRANIGMA. One of the few games that never got to see North American shores, TERRANIGMA is one of the last unofficial quintet series of RPGs for the Super Nintendo. It's more of an action RPG, if anything, but it's not one that people talk about a whole lot anymore. You play as a boy named Ark, who is a bit of a troublemaker. Eventually he ends up opening up Pandora's box, which ends up freezing everyone in his town for some reason. And then it is revealed that you are the last town of humanity surviving in the underworld. So yeah, that's a nice spin. You have to go to 5 towers to revive the world, but I'm getting ahead of myself. If you enjoyed Illusion of Gaia or the even more obscure Soul Blazer, then you'll probably enjoy TERRANIGMA. And the reason it's on this list is because even with how much appreciation it gets, it just seems like it's been lost in a lot of the retro gaming scene. Regardless, it's a game damn well worth your time.
Number 2.
LUFIA 2: Rise of the Sinistrals. Man, if there's one thing I learned from making this list, it's that the Super Nintendo has dozens of obscure JRPGs, and one of these is LUFIA 2: Rise of the Sinistrals. Why not LUFIA 1, you ask? Well, because LUFIA 2 is a pre-sequel. A prequel sequel, if you will. Not only that, but it builds off a lot of the problems that were in the first game that generally make it a better game overall. LUFIA 2 is one of the cases where it takes the best of the genre and puts it all together. No random encounters in dungeons? Check. Text speed and animations defaulted to fast? Check. Breaking up grinding with Zelda-esque puzzles? Check. Okay, maybe that last one isn't a thing, but it's definitely a concept that makes it one of the better RPGs out there. And while the story definitely takes a little longer than it should to get started, once it does, it'll have you hooked, line, and sinker. So what game is even more underrated than an obscure RPG? Well, before I reveal number 1, let's have a quick recap. At number 10, it's
Adventure Island 2.
At number 9, Metal Marines. At number 8,
I am Batman!
Number 7 is The Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. And number 6 is Demon's Crest. Number 5 is Haymaker Combo. At number 4, it's Clock Tower. Number 3 is TERRANIGMA. And at number 2, LUFIA 2, Rise of the Sinistrals.
Number 1.
Only an even more obscure strategy RPG could be at the top, of course. Trust me, I've wanted to make a video about this series for years, ever since my early days of YouTube, but I feel like I can't do it justice just yet. So this'll have to do for now. Ogre Battle is a series of games that are stellar in execution of strategic attacks and managing armies. It's honestly one of the least known series of strategy games. I can't even think of a single YouTuber or internet personality that's actually had the time to talk about it. The campaign easily lasts over 80 hours, and it takes plenty of plot twists along the way. What really makes this series so exceptional though is the strategy itself. There's just so many factors into how you can win a battle. Where you fight, what your unit's alignment is, what the time of day it is, what you're equipped with, the list goes on and on. And on top of all that, the game has multiple endings. Will I give this game a full-on review? Yeah, one of these days, but until that day, give the Ogre Battle series a try. It's easily one of the best tactical strategy series in the history of the video game industry.